Howdy doody buckaroonies, and welcome back to another episode of Morning Coffee with Cameron. In this video, I wanted to show you guys how to set up parallel processing chains inside of UVI Falcon, because this is an incredibly powerful thing to know about and will really take your patch design in Falcon up to the next level. This tutorial comes by request of Bran Richards, who asked a little while ago how to set up parallel filters inside of Falcon, and I figured I would do you one better and show you how to create parallel chains and band splitting chains all internally inside of Falcon. Let's take a listen to the final result. For more sound design tips and hilarious misadventures as narrated by my smoky baritone, feel free to subscribe to the channel down below. And if you have a question or a topic you'd like to see me cover in a future video, let me know down in the comments. To begin, within Falcon here, I've got a really basic patch using a wavetable with some LFO modulating the wave index and an envelope modulating the FM here and a multi-granular engine. So it's not really anything special, and it sounds like this right now. So let's add some spicy secret sauce by adding some band splitting and some parallel processing chains. To begin, we'll go over to the effects tab, and within our effects here, we're going to find this little doodad called the effect rack and drag that bad boy on in here. This alone is the magic button that I all but guarantee is going to open a whole new world of sound design possibilities for you within Falcon. To use the effects rack here, we'll need to pop over into the tree view and begin by locating the effects rack, which is right here. If we twirl this down, you'll see we have a chain here, and this is how the effects rack works. You can add chains, and you can add as many as you would like. Once you have a chain, you can click on that chain and begin inserting effects to it. So let's begin by right-clicking on the effect rack and adding an effects chain. We'll just add maybe 2 more of these. Within chain 1, let's say we want to add some kind of modulation like a nice chorus here. And chain 2, maybe we want to add like a delay or something, like analog tape delay. Why not? I'm feeling all delay and mushy. And then in this third one here, how about a flanger? And I think you get the idea. You can rinse and repeat this process to add as many effects chains as you would like and add as many effects within them as you want. Do keep in mind this can get pretty intensive on bigger patches, but for most basic patches, you can get away with quite a bit of processing. To rename these chains, we can locate them and double click on the display name. We can name this guy Chorus. We'll move to the second one here and call this Delay Bro. And then this third one here, we're going to call this Flangy Boy. Now, let's say you want to add some macros on the instrument in order to control these layers and blend them in, as I did in my example, where I put macros on and then CC'd them to my controller to blend them in over time. This is actually super easy to do. You're just going to right-click on the volume slider for that layer, and we'll go to Assign to Macro and add a new macro. Another cool thing, if you want to add macros to the effects rack itself so you can control the effects, like let's say the flanger speed, you can right-click on that and assign it to the effect rack macro, which will create a macro on the effect rack rather than on the instrument interface. Otherwise, as always, you can assign it to a macro and add it to the front panel of the interface. So now if we go over to our info tab, we'll see we have the macro one here. And if we want to rename this, we can scroll down and find our macro. So this is the chorus, and we'll call this chorus level. And again, you can rinse and repeat this whole thing as much as needed for all the different macros and things you would like to add. But this does raise the question, what about a dry chain if we don't want any of this processing? If we go back into our effect rack here, we can right click and add an effects chain. And on this chain, you'll just need to go over here to the amp and stereo and plop in one of these gainy boys. I'm not sure why this is the case myself, but I find sometimes if you have a blank effects chain, it won't play sound through it. I'm not sure what causes that, but I find just dropping a gain in allows you to use that as your dry signal. So this is all really dope. We've got our effect rack here, and those are all of our parallel effects. Now let's do some band splitting. Band splitting follows the same line of thinking really. The only difference is that we're going to need to place a crossover filter in the rack first. So let's drag in a new effect rack. We'll locate that, which is right here, and we'll see we have our chains. We're going to go ahead and add 2 more. This way we can have 1 band for low, 1 for the mid, and 1 for the high. To utilize this, we'll go into each chain, we'll find the filter section, and we'll add a crossover filter and set it for the respective mode for that band. In this case, this is 1, which is low. We'll go to the second one, leave it on band for the mids, and then we'll go up here to this and switch it to high pass, and now we've got a low, mid, and high band. And again, very similar to how we did the parallel processing, you can then add your effects after the fact, and then they will only apply to that band. In my final instrument here, the parallel fella, if we pop in here to the effects tab, you can see what I've done. Let's hop over to the tree view. So this is my band split rack. If we look at the chain, I've got some saturation on the low end. I added a flanger to the mids, and on the highs, I enhanced the stereo image, added a chorus, and added some really subtle kind of bit crushy, crispy bits. Finally, to wrap this video up, I wanted to show you one quick tip to create cool arps in Falcon without a lot of effort and just by holding down a single note, as I did in the instrument you heard at the beginning. If we hop over to the list view here and take a look, this is my second layer, which is the arp, which is a pluck and an analog. And if we go over to the events, I've combined 2 different things, which is actually pretty fun. Within the event processor here, I've dragged in 2 different things. I grabbed a tonal harmonizer and then the arpeggiator, and you can see I can actually just set the degrees of a scale that it's going to play, and I set the key in C minor, and then you can also change the voicing as well, and then I toss that through an arpeggiator, so I can just hold down a single note and get cool, complex arpeggiated patterns with virtually no effort. So that wraps everything up for this video. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys again soon.